What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's analysis. We're going to be looking at Coinbase today. So we've had this channel that we've been respecting, and we got one close outside of it, and it looks like we got a second close outside of it on this week, depending on how you draw it. So it depends. If you draw it with these wicks here, making contact with these wicks, then it would be closing outside. But if you were to move it based off of these wicks here, along with price, then we still haven't closed outside of the channel, which is a good sign. But if it is the first scenario, then that's definitely not a good sign. It doesn't mean that price can't turn around, because you can see it happen prior where we had that close outside of it, and then from that close we ended up moving up 86% over the next couple weeks. So you can see 6 or 7 weeks, something like that. So maybe we get a similar move like that, but we're currently at the bottom of this range now. As you can see, we've been trending sideways while also maintaining this upward movement in this channel at the same time. So we need to get a bounce and try and make our way back to the top of this channel to continue up and eventually move to all-time highs and hit the top of this channel. On the SMAs, it looks like we're trying to push down to the 200, even though you can barely see it because there haven't been too many weeks. It's been just over 200 weeks. That's why you can only see this short SMA here. But we need to reclaim the 50 and the 20 to continue that bull trend upward. And on the daily, we're underneath all three, so it's just pointing bearish right now. On the Bollinger Bands, we're headed towards the bottom band, the green band. So let's see if we get a sharp move back to the blue. If not, then we can continue hugging the green, as we can see here. On the weekly, we are already at the bottom band, and I think we actually closed outside of it, just outside. We normally don't spend too much time on the outer bands, so let's see what the next move turns out to be. It all depends on Bitcoin and what Bitcoin decides to do. Bitcoin is lagging global liquidity, and global liquidity has been going up for about 75 days. So usually within that window, Bitcoin starts to follow. But it's 75 to about 100 days. So let's see if Bitcoin starts to rally up, and then that'll bring Coinbase along with it. On the MACD, we're looking good. We got that blue to push above the orange, and now we're getting that momentum to the upside. We are seeing the candles start to dwindle down a little bit here. Let's see if they can start ramping back up and start getting large green candles, and this blue push back into bullish territory. On the weekly, we are still bearish, and as you can see, there's plenty of red. Like 80% of the moves, or 80% of the candles starting from here are red. So let's see if we can get that blue to start curling back up and take over the orange. On the RSI, we're looking good. On a daily, higher highs, higher lows, but now we did crack underneath this moving average. So we want to reclaim that and get that bounce so we can continue pushing up higher. But nothing to worry about yet on the daily RSI. But on the weekly, it's actually bearish divergence for the past 3 peaks, as you can see here. So the issue with this is that you have a peak here. You have a peak here. This was the highest move, right? You've been creating lower highs on the RSI, but at the same time on price is creating higher highs. So you have this peak, which corresponds with this one, then price goes up higher, but the RSI moved down lower, and then price went up even higher again, and RSI dropped even lower. So that was a kind of an indicator that, I mean, we're looking in hindsight, but it's an indicator that, hey, we're getting some bearish divergence, and it looks like it actually ended up playing out pretty well. So let's see if it continues down to completely oversold territories as it's done prior, or if we try and find a bottom here, which kind of matches up with that September 2024 bottom. See how it plays out, of course. But yes, this is definitely something that if you can point it out initially before it happens, you could either get out or make some kind of trade off of this once you see this appear on the charts. So when you're looking at RSI, always look for divergence, see if you can see or spot some kind of weakness, or you can spot strength before price actually reacts. So that also does happen as well. Overall though, the trend is still upward, still looks good. On a large scale Fibonacci, we're right here at the golden zone, the 0.5 to the 618. It's a strong level of support and resistance and a continuation of price in whichever direction you pull it in. And in this case, we're pulling it in a bullish direction. So if we can get a bounce off of this golden zone here, that's a strong continuation for price to push up to higher levels. And then we'll pull another fib from a smaller time frame. It's still a large time frame because it's from October 2023, but smaller than the last one. In that case, we actually close underneath the golden zone here, which is not a good sign because the next thing that could possibly happen is getting a retest of the golden zone and then continue on down to lower levels. We'll definitely see how it plays out, of course. In terms of targets, the next level that I can see is about this 162 level. We continue on down. And then if we break that, the next level I see after that would be around this level here. It would be in that range of 149 to about 144, 145. So we could see something where we retest, push here, chop a little bit, break down, retest, and so on. But if sentiment flips, which hopefully it does, then we could get a move where we can either get like an engulfing candle back here, chop a little bit before we make our next move up, retest, and then move to this next level, which would be about 232 that we'd have to break. If we crack the 232 level, I think we could definitely run a lot higher, because after the 232 level, it's just a clean move. When you look to the left, you have large engulfing candles. So once price breaks above this, there's not going to be much stopping it from getting up to that 267 level. So those are the targets to kind of look at on both sides, on the bearish side and the bullish side here. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.